Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It is grey and disgusting behind me, which means it's officially winter, and this is about the time of year where I really struggle to know what to do in the arena. I've not got any competitions to work towards, but I know that I need to have a strict winter training regime in order to get ready for next year's event season. Luckily for me, Horse and Rider magazine wanted to collaborate, which is absolutely perfect because they are filled with amazing exercises. So I've got 3 horses to ride today. That's actually 4, but I have got 3 to ride today, and I'm going to be doing it with the help of Horse and Rider magazine. I'm feeling motivated, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. I don't know why I always do my intros up there, because then we have the walk across the arena, but that's fine because this is our stage for today. So I've got a 20 by 40 arena at home and not a great imagination, so I do often struggle to actually think of exercises that are going to help me and my horse and aren't just a fence in the middle of the arena or, you know, like 2 random ones offset. I'm not very good at thinking things up, but this is where we're going to be doing all of our fun exercises, and they have all been made so that they can fit into this size arena, which is perfect. So a couple of nights ago, I actually had one of the best evenings of my life. Pete was playing Xbox, so it was out of my hair, and I had a year's worth of Horse and Rider magazines to go through and just find all of the exercises that I wanted to do. I set myself half an hour to film this, and it took me about 2 hours because I couldn't believe how many there actually were in every magazine. There's at least 3 things you can do with your horse, whether it's in handwork, pole work, jumping, dressage, things to work on your mindset. There was so much to go through. I did manage to narrow it down to 3 magazines, which we're going to be using today for each 3 ponies. So let's find out who our first magazine special guest is. So ladies and gentlemen, our first magazine of the day. It's actually a very recent one. This is the September to October issue, and we're going to be doing our exercise with none other than Olympic gold medalist, badminton winner, Laura Collett. So I chose this first exercise for Winnie because it's all pole-based. Winnie's obviously a 4-year-old, so she's not ready to actually do very intricate exercises. But what I liked about this one is that it actually progresses through the magazine. So Winnie can do step 1, but if I wanted to bring another horse down later on, I'd easily be able to progress it using Laura's top tips and make it more difficult for my more experienced horses. So it's perfect. I'm going to set this up now and we'll see what it looks like. So I've got my first pony, my lovely 4-year-old homebred Winnie. She's done very, very little in the school. Basically, we've just been hacking. She's very babyish, but I really like the look of this exercise because it actually gives me something to work towards in our session. It can be difficult with a baby. You feel like you're just going around in circles and not really progressing. So we have a plan for our session, which is really nice. Also, it's just poles, which I do really like doing with babies because it just keeps them switched on. She has no idea about schooling, so she doesn't really know why we come in here. So the poles will keep her a little bit entertained, hopefully, and I'll be able to work on bending and transitions, which is exactly what she needs to be doing at this stage in her career. You know what, interestingly enough, I did actually see a mountain block session in one of the magazines, which I think I will be using for Winnie. Although she's stood like an absolute dream here, when we go out hacking, she's very much a walk-off kind of pony. Good girl. Oh, so I'm going to be giving that a read. Oh, well done. Good girl. Right, so the plan of action is for me to warm Winnie up how I normally would, and then we're going to hand over to Laura's capable hands and work through the exercise.
So sadly, Laura could not be here today to do the voiceover. So you've got me, but not all is lost because I have got the magazine which explains things so perfectly and lays it out really well that I think we're going to do all right. looking over this session. So first of all, obviously I had to warm Winnie up, and immediately I really liked having the poles. I loved having these tram lines here to get her going through. It gave her just something to keep her a little bit entertained. You can see Winnie is naturally quite stuffy in the school. She doesn't particularly enjoy her schoolwork. But I really found with this session, because we had so many new things out and we could go over them in all different directions, like those poles there, we did just have her a little bit more switched on than usual. Her face is saying less so. So Laura really lays out in the Horse and Rider magazine that there are lots of different ways you can put this out. I was feeling particularly ambitious and actually decided to put the full exercise out, which means eventually we work over it in a 4-loop serpentine. However, she does give you a way of doing it if you want to do it 3 loops. She also talks about if you don't have this right amount of poles, what else you can do. And with these canter poles here, she mentions that it's fine to keep them as canter poles because you can actually trot over them and they should get 2 nice equal strides of trot over. So that was really good to read through. And then here we are doing our first little run through of the exercise in full. Now it does start off quite scrappy, but I was surprised with how much progress Winnie did actually make. I mean, you can see there already she's doing better over those poles. It was also a great exercise for her because from a steering point of view, she's obviously very, very green. She needs to do as much turning and steering as possible just to get her more supple, get her actually activating those inside legs, bending through her rib cage. And so often it's really easy in a schooling session to not do all of these turns because quite frankly, they feel pretty horrible. But it was nice when I was actually following an exercise, it made me do all the turns and I could feel so much improvement by the end of it. Now I do want to quickly talk about the tram rails as well. So those are the things that I've gone through in the middle. I see professionals using these all the time on Instagram, but never really set them up myself. However, after reading Laura's segment about them, I can really see just how useful they actually are. So firstly, she talks about how good they are for straightness from a horse's point of view because they actually have something to go through. You can see we fall out through our shoulder there, but the poles kind of tuck us in. But next she says about how good they are as a visual aid for the rider. So she says every time you're going through your tram rails, you should be doing a little mental check, you know, am I level in my hands? Are my legs on properly? Are the horses falling out at all? Use it as a reminder during your sessions and it will make a massive difference. She then goes on to talk about how good they are for doing transitions between, but we decided that that was probably enough for Winnie, so we called it a day.
So that is our Laura Collett session done and dusted with. You can probably tell that Winnie is absolutely spent physically and mentally. I think this was a really good exercise for her, got her thinking, we did lots of bending. I definitely want to come out and do it again with her. There's so many progressions that Laura speaks about in the magazine, so obviously you can tailor it to whatever level your horse is currently at. For Winnie today, it was about getting her forward, bending her, and just having things cropping up in our normal schooling routine, like poles, just to keep her switched on and keep her interested in the schooling. But next time I bring her out, I'm certainly going to be using my transition box, which was with the pink and blue poles, to do a trot walk trot transition added into my serpentine. It was also really good for warming up. It meant we could do different things, we could do the circles. Overall, really enjoyed this with Winnie, and it certainly highlighted what we need to work on. As I've said, she's a complete and utter baby. She's actually about to be turned away soon. But when I bring her back, this will be one of the first exercises I do again. It'll be a nice one for seeing how much you've progressed as well. Right, on to the next pony and the next exercise, which is jumping. So we have built exercise number 2 now, as you've seen, and this is from last December's issue. And surprise, surprise, I have picked another event rider. So I've chosen to go with Lydia Hannon, and this exercise I've thought of for Dora. So there's two components to it, but what's worth mentioning is this was actually a 4-part series that Lydia did. So before this, there were actually loads of other exercises that are just building your horse up, and it's actually giving you nice things to work on month. So you'll be able to follow her training program for 4 months, which is really nice to keep us busy over the winter and also progress things. But poor Dora is coming out and doing part 4, although there's loads of ways that you can either make it easier for your horses or progress it, so I think we'll be absolutely fine. So first part is doing this 3-stride related distance, and what Lydia's really trying to get us to work on is having a nice balance and keeping the same canter around your corner over your related distances. She's also used a fence which I had completely forgotten about, which is the cross with a straight bar in between. So get your horse to work on their technique. You can raise the cross sides a little bit higher, get them nice and straight, which leads us on to exercise number 2, which is our oxer with guide rails. Now, this was meant to be on a diagonal, but because I want to do both exercises at the same time, I've just set it up on the other side of the arena, but we can still pair these together and work on our balance, hopefully, Lydia, and we'll be keeping the same canter down our related, coming round to our lovely oxer. So, in theory, that's how it's going to go. Let's go grab Dora and see how it rides. Okay, second pony of the day, 6-year-old Dora Bean. I'm really excited to get going with this because I haven't actually done these exercises before. So very excited to do this at home. Dora's feeling equally as enthusiastic. Be very good to work on your straightness, madam, won't it? Straightness, rhythm, balance and control is what we're going to take from this exercise.
Unfortunately, Lydia was also busy, so she's not been able to come and do the voiceover, guys, but fear not, I have so much information to tell you about this wonderful exercise. Firstly though, I do want to say a really big thank you to Lydia, because this segment begins with her having a little chat about training horses, and she goes into great depth about how horses aren't machines and not to worry with your training sessions if you come out one day and things don't go exactly to plan. She says obviously you want to be on an upward trajectory over the year, for example, but what your horse finds easy one day, they might not necessarily find easy the next day. And for me, that was a very encouraging read. So once Dora is all warmed up, it's time to get going with this exercise. Now, the whole point of this exercise, from what I can gather, is to be able to get level, balanced strides, but without changing your canter last minute, which is partly why I picked it, because I'm sure many of you will know my default is to pull for a stride, and I'd much rather come round in a nice canter and go down a related distance without changing too much. Now you can see there, I pull and we go into the bottom. So these are actually set out on 3 strides. However, Lydia speaks about at the beginning, we have to go down on 4 strides. But we want to have the same balanced canter around the corner and through the exercise. This I found quite a challenge, so we did have to come numerous times. But the more I did it and the more I relaxed into the exercise, I think there is some improvement. We actually ended up adding 5 strides there, which was a bit overkill. So we come round one more time, slightly change our rhythm there, but not too bad. So it was then time to change the rein and try and repeat that the other way. I really liked jumping these cross pole fences because it definitely helped with our straightness. Now, I've left this in on purpose. It was pretty disastrous, my first attempt at getting 3 strides, because I don't make the canter until I'm right before the first fence, and bless little Dora for somehow getting me out of that. I don't know how she managed that. So there we did actually make the 3 strides, but again, it was tentative. So we went back to the magazine, it did some reading, and I realised that I need to be making my canter larger so much earlier. And once I made that little change, you can see the 3 strides actually started to come up really easily. That was another reason I really loved this exercise, because if you made the changes, you could see an improvement instantly, which is just so rewarding when you're riding horses. So next we go on to exercise 2. Lydia had put blocks under that fence to get the horses looking, and it certainly worked on Dora Bean. Now this exercise is really a progression from the one we have just done, so it's all about trying to meet a fence, keeping our straightness but also keeping that nice balanced rhythmical canter. Again, something that I do quite struggle with. So eventually we decided we were going to pop it up a little bit so that we could move the blocks underneath as more of a ground line. And you can see my straightness does kind of waver a little bit in places. So that's what the tram rails again are there for, just to keep us from falling out and give Dora and myself a little bit of a visual aid. I can definitely see an improvement in the rhythm of my canter from the corner to going to the fence, which is really nice to see. What's great is Lydia talks about in the magazine how if your horse is either behind the leg or rushing off, there are exercises and things you can do to combat both of those problems. So they really do cater for everyone.
So just finished our Lydia Hannon session with Dora. We're both puffing quite a lot, so we're doing a little walking outro for it, but I really enjoyed this exercise, and it certainly highlighted firstly that I need to be able to change my canters but actually keep the same rhythm, and secondly my straightness. I really struggled with exercise 2. Dora's a little bit looky, which was good because that's what the blocks are there for, but I found if I wasn't dead straight we were ending up having the front rail. But we did eventually get there in the end, and we had nice jumps down both of the exercises. It's really nice to come out here with an actual game plan and both be sort of tired after our sessions. Often I come out here, not really know what I'm doing, get a bit bored, and we go in after 20 minutes of not actually doing any proper work. But because I had something to aim towards, the session went really quickly, and Dora and I have both worked very hard. Anyway, we've got one more exercise to do, and that's going to be with Dee Dee, so stay tuned to see what comes next. Well, I did say it's going to be winter training. It's currently chucking it down, but we are not going to let the weather dampen our spirits because in true eventer style, yes guys, I've picked another eventer, we are now going to do Piggy March's very technical looking exercise. When I was flicking through this, I thought, oh, what a lovely exercise to do at home. But it does look pretty difficult. It's all about doing very angled lines, trying to hold your line, working on that cross-country technique. I have kept the jumps super duper low because this is all about the technical way of riding rather than jumping big, which is like what I like to work on my training at home. So I'm going to be using Dee Dee for this. I think I've chosen the right exercise for her because she's my most experienced horse, but I did want to quickly talk about my outfit for today because I'm sure I will get questions about this. So this is a new outfit for me. It's by Lirio Rossa, and it's a brand that I really like their values of because they're all about sustainability. This outfit here is actually made from 81% recycled materials, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but look how stretchy that is. We've also got our nice grippy bits in the middle. We've got a nice pocket here and just really cute, intricate branding. I'm just absolutely loving it. I love the fact that it's sustainable, but looks good and feels fantastic. Up until now, I was actually bone dry as well because it's incredibly breathable. Unfortunately, it's not doing so well in this absolute horrendous rain, but head over to their website and their Instagram if you'd like to look.
Just had a text from Piggy to say she's stuck in traffic, so it's over to me yet again, guys. It's fine. We've got the magazine to help us through. Now, I was feeling all big and brave when I was picking my exercise for Dee, and I chose this one, which is all about accuracy and riding cross-country lines. So we kept the jumps very small, as Piggy advised, but it was still such a difficult exercise to ride through, not helped by the fact that Dee was feeling quite spicy in this rainy weather as well. So once I had managed to shout to Pete where I was going, because he was stuck under an umbrella with the camera and couldn't hear me, we started warming up over the fences on their own. Piggy also suggests jumping this middle fence on a figure of 8 and practicing your change of lead over a fence, which I found really useful, and it was a nice way to structure my warm-up. Anyway, it was time to get going, and the main message Piggy gives us throughout the magazine is that you need to plan ahead and prepare for cross-country riding, which I did not do very well there, but we scrambled through it. But it does fall to pieces a bit here. She mentions if you don't get a good jump over the first element, you're likely not going to get over the next few. And that was very much proven by my scrappy jump over element A. So we get going through, but it's all looking a little bit messy. I was struggling to find a stride, we're falling out through our shoulder. Dee wasn't listening to me that much because in her mind this was easy with not having big jumps. So eventually we do manage to gain a little bit more control. What I did really like in this feature was that Piggy keeps reiterating how we are training at home right now, therefore we don't need to have that quick pace that we associate with cross country. Rather, it's much better actually focusing on our accuracy and keeping a line. She also mentions that yes, we see cross country as a very quick discipline, but so often being smart with our riding can actually shave off more seconds rather than going on a flyer, which is a little bit risky. Now, it's all very good and well saying this, it's much harder to put into practice, but being able to put a very technical exercise out in the arena at a small height and just keep going through it, working on different things, going back to the magazine, reading Piggy's tips, I found it such a productive session and definitely something that's going to help me with my cross-country riding well into the new year. It's also a great exercise like the other two that I've done in that you can do it from any direction. So it's perfect for training at home. If you don't have someone there on the ground, you can do this every which way and it's still really difficult and you won't need to get off and change any fences. Now Piggy does give us a way of progressing this, making them into skinnies, by just adding a jump wing. However, I found it so difficult, so I'm saving that for another day.
Well, that is it. I have well and truly been put through my paces. Naively, I thought when I was picking these exercises, oh, these would be really easy to do at home, but I have really worked a lot, but also learnt a lot. And what's nice is in the magazine, they take you through step by step and they also give you loads of different options. So if you're on a young horse or an experienced horse, they'll always talk you through how you can make the exercise easier or that bit more difficult. Speaking of difficult, Piggy March, this was near impossible. I found this so tricky and I was only jumping about 60 centimetres. So it does just go to show that your winter training doesn't need to be all about jumping big fences. You can come out and seriously challenge yourself over a 60 centimetre fence, but with very, very difficult angles and quite a feisty pony. Now, if you're wanting to try lots of different exercises at home, I have got a very exciting offer for you. So the lovely people at Horse&Rider magazine have given me a code, which is HRMEG25. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. This code is very special because you can sign up to their subscription, giving you 13 magazines and get 25% off. So the magazines will literally come to your door. There is so much in them. It will keep you up to date with all of the equine news that's going on throughout the year, but also give you lots of different exercises to try at home. So I cannot recommend enough. I'm certainly going to be going through the rest of my magazines at home and setting up a new exercise every week, working all of my horses through it. And I think come March, we should be pretty darn ready to hit the event season running. A big thank you to Horse&Rider magazine for sponsoring this video. Comment down below if you would like to see more of these and me tackling these difficult exercises. As I said, there are so many more that I could do. And another big thank you to Lirio Rossa for this beautiful outfit. That has been an absolute pleasure to ride all 3 ponies in. So relevant links are down below. Other than that, I live, laugh, love you guys. I am gonna go and get in the tumble dryer because I am absolutely sodden. Bye.